Hello everybody. Today I would welcome you back to another Magic the Gathering arena video as normal, but today is more of just a Magic the Gathering in general video because I am going to have a look at the new cards coming out in the Brothers War set, which I think launches on Arena on the 15th. Maybe on paper slightly after that, 18th or so I think. And just by colour, going to have a look through the different cards, see what I think could be good in standard and why, hopefully, and try and get a feel for where the power levels of the different decks are going to be at post rotation, or well, not really rotation because nothing goes out with this set coming out. It's just in addition to the existing sets. We've already dropped all the ones that are going to rotate out last time, so this set is just in addition. So this is typically the easiest type of set release to predict, what's going to be good and bad, because we already know what's good and bad with the existing cards, and it's relatively easy to imagine with just a whole new, if there's some new powerful stuff, it could buff an archetype. If there's no new powerful stuff for a particular archetype, then maybe that will be less powerful. So without further ado, I normally don't do these videos, and the reason is I actually think that being able to predict what cards will be good and what cards won't is harder than being good at the game. I mean, it is mind blowing how wrong people get their predictions with how sets are going to be and what cards are going to be impactful. But it can't hurt to have a go, and all I can say afterwards is, well, I got that wrong. So I'll immortalise it forever on YouTube. But you never know, we might be able to draw some insights by looking at these cards. So without further ado, I'm going to start with white. For the cards where I'm pretty sure they're not going to have any constructed impact, I'm going to skip, well not skip, but we'll go over them extremely quickly because I'm mostly focusing here on standard or potentially some alchemy, so standard related formats. I'm not really considering limited, as I don't have no limited expertise. I'm very much an amateur limited player, so trying to give opinions on whether they'd be good for limited is pointless. So let's start with the Aeronaut Cavalry. 3/4 flying for 3. Nope, that is a limited one. Airlift Chaplain is 1/1 for 3. When it enters mill 3, they put a planes or a creature with mana value 3 or less from among the mill cards into your hand. No, that is a limited card too. Flash Flyer, no. Exile all graveyards. So this is Calamity's Wake. Exile all graveyards. I realise I'm not moving the screen. Players can't cast non-creature spells this turn. Exile Calamity's Wake. I think this is it's a pretty decent sideboard card, isn't it? Exiling graveyards is a nice effect, but also being able to block people out from casting non-creature spells it could be decent. I mean, you could see this appearing in mono white decks as a counter to control or other mid-rangey things, like if you know your opponent's lining up a Fable or whatever it is. If you're playing against an enchantments deck, if you're playing against some kind of controlling deck. I mean, control decks are harder because obviously they can play their instants in your turn, so they can just wait a turn to play them. But against an enchantment deck, I'd say this could be pretty good because you can basically skip their turn. Unless they've got enchantment creatures to play, of course. So probably a sideboard card, maybe. Deadly Riposte, 3 damage to target tapped creature and you gain 2 life. Not great. Probably a limited card. Disenchant is a reprint. It's a sideboard at best. Great Desert Prospector is a 3/2 for 5. When it enters the battlefield, create a tap Power Stone token for each other creature you control. That's pretty rubbish. I mean, any effect for me that relies on having other creatures on the board tends to be pretty bad, aside from like Jetmir, where the payoff is amazing because it's game winning. I mean, this one is a meh effect anyway. There could be some weird effect where you need to have a number of Power Stone tokens to do something. I don't know, but I think that's pretty poor for 5. In the Trenches is our first Mythics. It's a 3 costing enchantment, which is an anthem, so creatures you control get +1/+1. It then has 6 or 5 and a white. Exile target non-land permanent you don't control until in the Trenches leaves the battlefield. So it's basically got an Oblivion Ring on it, but for 6. This is an interesting one, isn't it? Because it sort of suits a low curve aggro-y deck, probably mono white, given the double white requirement, or white with a splash of red, or white with a splash of black or something. But then it has that 6 costing ability to exile something later, so it gives you somewhere to dump your mana later. I mean, just playing an Anthem effect for 3, it's a tricky one, because if you're winning as a creature deck, it's because they haven't managed to remove all of your creatures normally, and if you're losing, it's because you've been board wiped, and this doesn't help you in that situation. So I would say I probably wouldn't run out for myself and craft this on day one, but it does have a lot of potential with the extra mana. I mean, once you've done that 6 costing ability and spent 9 on this card, it is a target for removal like nothing else. A permanent that sits on the battlefield that costs you 9, that is a target for removal. If there's something that makes abilities cheaper, or you can cheat this in somehow, it could be very decent. But for now, I would say medium strength card. Next one is Kayla's Command, which is a 1 and 2 white sorcery, which has choose 2, create a 2/2 colorless construct artifact token. Put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control against double strike until end of turn. Search your library for a basic plains card, reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle. And you gain 2 life and scry 2. Okay, so none of those effects are overwhelmingly powerful. But they are a wide range of effects, and it is only a 3 costing card. I mean, obviously it's a sorcery, which makes it much worse than it could be. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough. So just trying to think, put a 1/1 counter on it, it gains double strike. I mean, that is nice if you've managed to clear a path for something, or you've got a creature that's got a relatively high power anyway. Could be good, like an Adeline or something like that. Adeline's particularly good, I suppose, because you can give it double strike and create a creature. It doesn't have any removal as an option, so the double strike could just get soaked up by blockers. I would say this is probably pretty good. This is probably better than In the Trenches for 3 at the moment. Just because of the flexibility. It can fix your mana if you're getting mana screwed, obviously. Being able to scry 2 is nice. It's going to fit into some life gain decks, possibly. But scry 2 is actually very good. And if you've... Yeah, this is probably a life gain card, isn't it? Because if you've got the Voice of the Blessed out, you can give it 1/1 and double strike, which could get it to flying. And then you can gain 2 life, which will put another 1/1 counter on it. So if your Voice of the Blessed already has 2 counters on it and you cast this, it's going to be a 4/4 double strike flying. That's probably the best synergy I can see with this card. So yeah, probably quite good in that deck. May have other uses as well. I'd say pretty flexible, nice card. Kayla's Reconstruction is 3 white and X sorcery. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to X artifacts or creature cards and mana 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. In a random order, sorry. Excuse me. Obviously, it depends on the artifact. I mean, I haven't really studied the set that much, and if there are lots and lots of artifacts that can form a combo, this could be good. Or artifacts and creatures that can form a combo. The fact that it's mana value 3 or less, well, how much are you really going to cast this for? 2 or 3? If you're lucky. So yeah, it's a bit expensive. It feels expensive to me. I would say not great, but I could be proven wrong on that one. Let's see. Lay Down Arms is a 1 white sorcery. Exile target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control. Its controller gains 3 life. That sounds pretty darn good to me. So, equivalents that we have in sort of Standard and Alchemy at the moment. So Standard, we've got Cut Down, which doesn't exile, but it doesn't give them any life. And Cut Down, yeah, this scales better throughout the game, obviously, but it's not as good on turn 1. That's probably more helpful, because by turn 4 you can use this to exile a Sheldred or something, which is pretty nice for 1 mana. And it's sort of like Fragment Reality from Alchemy, although that isn't instant, but it gives them something else. I'd say this is pretty damn good. I mean, I would definitely be trying this out. I think it's one that's got a lot of potential to be pretty groundbreaking. It's kind of got that Swords to Plowshares feel about it. So Yeah, as far as uncommons go, this is a definite. Go and pick them up and try them on day one card, I think. Lauren of the Third Path. 3 costing rare legendary human artificer. 2/1 vigilance. When a Lauren of the Third Path enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Tap, you and target opponent each draw a card. It's a sideboard card, I guess. I mean, why? It's weird to see this effect on a body, on a creature, destroy an artifact or enchantment, but by all accounts, this is going to be an artifact heavy set. 2 on vigilance, so you can attack with it and then tap to draw a card. I don't see the relevance of the tap to draw a card thing. I guess it's like a thing with Sheldred. If you and opponent draw a card, you can force them to draw. TBC, I'd say maybe a sideboard card. Doesn't seem great to me. Lauren, a Disciple of History, is a 4 costing 3/3 legendary human artificer. And when it or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. I'm not convinced. You need a way of getting artifacts into your graveyard, and then you only get them back to your hand. And even if there are plentiful legends, I don't see how that is brilliant, to be honest. Could be wrong again. Lauren's Escape is a 1 costing instant. Target artifact or creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Scry 1. So this is obviously a very similar effect to the green Tamiyo's Protection, is it called? Can't remember. Tamiyo something. And yeah, but having it in white and having a scry attached instead of gain 2 life, yeah, pretty nice. I'd say this is going to be a player, for sure. The nice thing about having this in white instead of green is that it works as a nice combat trick for the aggressive white decks. So, you know, it's a combat trick as well as a protection spell, for things like Adeline or Sungold Sentinel or whatever other high power creatures you can attack with, and then cast this on them if they get blocked. Yeah, I'd say it's very, very good. It's never going to be a 4 of in a deck, but it's also going to be a nice sideboard against destroy heavy things. This card got a big buff with the banning of Meathook, because hexproof and indestructible basically means unremovable without --/ around. Meathook was the main way of doing that. Next card, Mass Production, is a 6 costing sorcery, create 4 1/1 colourless soldier artifact creature tokens. Probably not that great in constructed, just because it costs 6, even if artifact creatures are great. Meticulous Excavation is a 1 costing enchantment. 3 to return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. If it has unearthed, instead exile it, then return that card to its owner's hand. Okay, so basically it's a way of getting back unearthed things so that you can unearth them again, maybe. This is, if anything, it's going to be some kind of weird combo, isn't it? I can't really see a great use for this now, but you never know, there could be some weird combo of this. We'll come back to this card after we've played with the set a bit. Military Discipline is a 1 costing enchantment aura, flash. Enchant creature, when it enters the battlefield, enchant creature gains first strike, gets +1/+8. It's just a combat trick, probably not useful in constructed. Okay, another mythic. It's a 4 costing, it's Myrel, a Shield of Argive. And it's a legendary human soldier, 3/4. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Interesting effect. When Myrel attacks, create X 1/1 colourless soldier artifact creature tokens, or X is the number of soldiers you control. So even on its own, it starts creating 1, and then the number exponentially grows. During your turn, can't cast spells. This seems pretty damn good in a soldier deck, to be honest. Obviously it's prone to board wipes like all good creatures, and it is only a 3/4 for 4, so its stat line isn't amazing if you compare it to like Sheoldred, which is 4/5 and has a good effect, but As far as tribal cards go, probably pretty worth a try. I mean, them not being able to interact in your turn is nice. So it means if you hold open your Lauren's escape during their turn, they can never remove your stuff, basically. For it's very difficult to. Yeah, seems pretty decent. I would definitely be giving that one a go. 2 costing Phalanx Vanguard. It's a human soldier 2/2 vigilance. Artifact enters the battlefield. No, that is a limited card. The next one is a limited card. Prison sentence is your classic sort of Oblivion Ring effect with a scry 2 attached. Would probably be used in artifact decks, enchantment decks only. Recommission for 2 sorcery. Return target artifact or creature card, mana value 3 or less, from your graveyard to the battlefield. If a creature enters the battlefield this way, it enters with a 1/1 on it. That seems like a strangely good effect, to be honest, for 2. So if you're... What's a good 3 costing? Like Adeline, I always go back to Adeline, or Brutal Cathar dies. You can bring it back with a 1/1 on it for 2 mana. In white, that seems pretty decent. For a common, I would definitely be giving this one a try. I'd say that looks pretty good in mono white aggro, 1 or 2 of those. Recruitment Officer is a 2. No, that's no. Well, look at the top 4 and reveal a. If it was any number, no. Well, it is a 1 costing spell, I suppose. It's a 2/1 for 1, which we should never discount. So let's just go through it. Recruitment Officer is a 1 costing 2/1 human soldier. It is a soldier as well. It's got an ability which is 4. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card, mana value 3 or less, from among them and put it into your hand. So you can't get your Myrel, sadly, as it's a 4 mana value, but you can get the Soldier Lord, and it is a 2/1. I mean, it'll probably see play in the Soldier Tribal decks, but nowhere else. Repair and Recharge. It's 5 costing sorcery. Return artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker from your graveyard to the battlefield and create a tapped Power Stone token. It's meh. It's like a bad version of Invoke Justice. Siege Veteran is a 3 costing human soldier 2/2. At the beginning of excuse me. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Okay, so Luminarch Aspirant springs to mind. Whenever another non-token soldier you control dies, create a 1/1 colourless soldier artifact creature token. Okay. There's a lot to unpack there, I suppose. So it is a Luminarch Aspirant that is a 2/2 instead of a 1/1, but it costs 3 instead of 2. Luminarch Aspirant being one of the most broken from white cards for an aggro deck in a long time. Sorry, excuse me. Whenever another non-token soldier create a soldier. This is board wipe protection, which is pretty good. I mean, it doesn't protect because you only get 1/1s, but 1/1s that are also the tribe you want them to be is pretty good. In the soldiers deck, I think this is worth a try. I know I've said that a few times, so there's definitely a soldiers deck crafting itself here, isn't there? My worry with this card is that it is only a 2/2 for 3, although obviously it can be a 3/3 for 3 as soon as combat starts. So as long as you avoid cut down until you're in combat, it's a 3v3. Yeah, I think it's good. I think this is very good. Okay, Soul Partition. 2 costing instant, exile target, non-land permanent. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 more to cast. Okay. So let's just think of an example. What we're going to want to exile? A Sheldred, which costs 4, and they can replay for 6. I think that's pretty nice. It's an aggro card, isn't it? Because you're delaying your opponent. Yeah. I mean, that was my initial thought, is that you're delaying your opponent, so like, you know, you can take out the way their, I don't know, whatever it is, Sheldred or other good blocker, a spell cast, or obviously this one can target your own stuff, so I was just trying to think if there's any use like to replay your own Enter the Battlefield stuff, but probably not. It's a little bit too expensive to do that because it's costing you 4 to replay a card, basically 2 plus the 2 extra. Maybe, but yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting card. Very interesting effect. I think we'll see this played, particularly in aggro decks, but you can only play so many non-creatures in your aggro deck, so I'm always a bit nervous saying that, but I would say this one's good enough for a 1 or 2 of. We may even see 4 of them. Static Net is a 4-costing enchantment. Exile, target non-land, permanent and opponent controls. When it enters the battlefield, gain 2 life and create a tap Power Stone token, but it costs 4. It's an expensive Oblivion Ring, probably not great constructed. Unless these Power Stone tokens are particularly good for anything. Survivor of Corliss, 1/1 first strike. Exile it from your graveyard, scry 2. Meh. Not as good as a 2/1 for 1. 4-costing Human Artificer. When an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, no, that's a limited card. This one's a rare. Tocassia's Welcome. 3-costing enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures with mana value 3 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. It triggers only once each turn. It's a bit slow, isn't it? Costs 3, and you might draw a few cards off this. I mean, it's no good in an aggro deck, but I guess the time this could be useful is in like some kind of grindy deck, like I mean, it's good with like Wedding Announcement, but then you've had to pay 2 3-costing enchantments, and I'm not convinced by this one. I think it's a bit slow. I mean, I love drawing cards and I love things that involve creatures, but it feels slow. The fact that it only triggers once a turn as well, you can't even like cheat it with like burn down the house, like get 3 cards back. Union of the Third Path, draw a card that can gain life equal to the number of cards in your hand. No. Warlord's Elite. It's a 4/4 for 3, but it's an additional cost. No, that's too much. No. Okay, so now we're on to the like artifacts that involve white. So this is the kind of theme of Brothers War, I think. So this could be interesting. So Autonomous Assembler is a 5-costing 4/5 at Vigilance, and it has 1 tap. Put a 1/1 counter on target assembly worker you control, and it is an artifact creature assembly worker, which means I might need to start. What was the card where you choose a creature type and everything except that gets -3/-3? Yeah, and you always choose assembly worker, and I've never ever once seen an assembly worker. I mean, they must have been a creature type from a set before I started playing, but can't choose assembly worker anymore. Not in standard anymore anyway, but hey. But this also has the prototype ability of you may cast a spell of different mana cost, colour and size. It keeps its abilities and type, so you can pay 2 for this instead of 5, and it comes in as a 2/2, but otherwise it's the same. So it would be a 2/2 Vigilance for 2, with tap, put a 1/1 and tap, put a 1/1 counter on assembly worker you control. This doesn't seem brilliant to me, unless there is an assembly worker deck out there, which I don't know. I haven't looked through the other colours, but I don't think this is a brilliant rare. Not one to craft on day 1, I would say. Combat Thresher is a 7-costing construct. It's a 3/3 double strike, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, or it's a 1/1 double strike for 3 that draws a card. Not great, unless it's stuff that buffs artifacts easily, but I would say probably not great. Platoon Dispenser is a mythic 5-costing construct. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more other creatures, draw a card. Create a 1/1 colourless soldier, and it has Unearth 4, which means we can play it from our graveyard for 4, but exile it when it dies again. This seems bad. It's 5, and it's a 4/6, but it needs 2 other creatures to be doing anything. And I just think, no, I think this is bad. Okay, Scrapwork Cohort. No. Okay, Steel Seraph. It's a 6-costing 5/4 with flying. At the beginning of combat, target creature gains flying, vigilance, or lifelink until end of turn. It's an angel. Or it can be a 3/3. 3-costing 3/3 with flying that does the same effect. Okay, well, a 3 costing 3/3 is a lot more appealing than a 6 costing 5/4. Um, I could see this being played in a white deck. Um, Giving you other things flying is nice. You know, being able to give an Adeline or a Guardian of New Benalia flying seems quite nice to me. Yeah, I reckon as a prototype version of this card, it could do half decent. This one is too expensive. Urza's Sylex, so this is the pairing to Khan's Sylex, I suppose. 3 costing legendary artifact. It has 4 tap, exile it. Each player chooses 6 lands they control, destroy all other permanents. Okay, so it sets it back to a 6 land game at most. When it's put into exile from the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, you search your library for a Planeswalker card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. So it tutors you a Planeswalker if you cast this exile effect for 6. I find it really hard to evaluate what I would call a control card like this, because Khan's Sylex has seen play, but I'd say it's tough to get it to work well for you. This one is in a similar boat, unless there's a really good Planeswalker out there. I mean, it's a good looking control card, I suppose, because any Planeswalker you give yourself, if you manage to get this off at a time where people don't have many cards in hand, so you reset the board and give yourself card advantage. But you've got to pay 3 to get onto the battlefield in the first place, and then pay 6 to do that effect. So it's probably good, but I don't know. That's my assessment of that card. Steel Seraph is Veterans Power Blade. That's the one for above. Soldier, but no, too much. Equipment's always bad. And then the Frontliner is whenever it attacks until another target creature, you control gets 1/1 until end of turn, and it's a 1/1. So when you sort of consider its stats, it's like a 2/2 for 1, as long as you've got another creature around. I think this is half decent, you know. It could be, it's with its Unearth ability as well. Oh, Unearth exiles at the beginning of the next end step. No, not as good as I thought then. Oof. This one's probably going to see play. Whether or not it'll be good is hard to evaluate, but I reckon it could see play. So overall, I would say that white has some pretty nice looking soldier cards, but as for whether they are going to be game breaking, hard to say. But I would say I'm definitely going to have fun trying to build a soldier tribal out of white. I don't know how well the artifact stuff is going to go down. None of the artifacts down here were mind blowing to me. Maybe the Seraph, but yeah, not sure. Anyway, thank you very much for watching me go through all these white cards. I will be following this up with one of the blue cards and then all the other colours later on. So we get a feel for the set before we hit the ground running on the 15th. If you have any thoughts about the cards, or decks that you would like to see made once this set comes out, please do leave me a comment, as I do like to read them and I do like to see what everyone else is thinking. I kind of am thinking in a bubble most of the time, whilst I do try and watch some other people's ideas for decks. I don't have loads of time to watch them, so most of the time I sit there thinking about myself in my study and trying to work out what we're going to do with these. So any other opinions would be greatly appreciated. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.